big. Oh, go ahead.
All right. We are live with Mr. Will Morris. If you don't know who Will Morris is, he's a good ally of mine. He spoke at Skillathon last year in New Orleans. We'll let a few people hop on before we get too deep into this. But Will is I would call him a private money / multifamily / syndicator / now private equity fund creator now, right? Right, Will?
That's it. That's it.
Did I name everything? I miss anything?
No, that's pretty much it.
Awesome, man. So, Will, for people that don't know who you are, give us like a quick. We got a bunch of people hopping on. We got 10 right now. Just jump in. Give us like a quick 50,000 foot view. And by the way, guys, Will's gonna be speaking to my mastermind, helping you guys with raising money, syndication, multifamily, social media. And his biggest and newest really exciting thing that he was talking to me about, this private equity fund that he's going to help you guys with. So, Will, take it from here. Give us a 50,000 foot of who Will Morris is.
Well, Chris, thank you for having me. Hope you guys, first and foremost, hope to see as many as possible down at your mastermind. But basically, you started out as a general contractor, doing the value adds for these operators and apartment owners. The value adds, meaning the flips, they go in. It's the same process as residential. You basically go in, you fix the units, you charge more for it. And so I started out as a general contractor, transitioned into import-export, actually importing what I call components for these value adds, meaning the cabinets, the countertops, the hardware. And then from there, I got to work closely with some acquisition teams. Found out about syndicating. And from syndicating, I went out and tried to do it on my own, and found out really quickly that you don't just wake up.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Tell them what syndicating means, just because I might be going over some people's head. What does syndicating mean, real quick, for them?
Okay. Basically, the definition of syndication is basically it's several assets or elements coming together. For a syndication for multifamily would be basically the pooling of people, capital, and resources in order to acquire a asset, typically larger than what you could do by yourself. And so if you're thinking about a 50, 60, 80, 100 unit plus multifamily, typically there's 2 or 3 players in that will basically, syndicate, pull it together. And so as a syndicator, your job is to do that. You try to find the deal, you try to get the capital together. You try to get what's called a sponsor, which would be a high net worth individual or experienced person to come on and sign on the debt for you. You source the debt. So you are really the quarterback, more or less, of it. And you're putting everything together. You're kind of playing chess. And once you have all the pieces together, then you submit your LOIs and you move forward. And well, hopefully you have everything together when you go. A lot of times you're still trying to figure it out through the LOI process. But, yeah, so once I did that, I found out really quickly that you don't just say, hey, I'm going to be a multifamily syndicator, and you can say it, but saying and doing is way 2 different things. I found out that, there's deep relationships, deep connections, deep, networks of that are already established that you're competing against. And so I had to find out a way to basically get into that world. And for me, it was on the capital side. Because the deals at the time, when I was getting into this, 18, 24 months ago. Hey, what's up, Luke? When I was getting into multifamily, the deals were plentiful. So it kind of flip-flopped in the past 9 months, really, or pre-COVID, I guess. But the deals were plentiful. So for me, capital was where I needed to be. And so I went after that. I went out and I tried to I try to talk to investors, and these are usually people with quite a bit of money that you can try to get that money from them. But the thing is that they wasn't talking to me neither. So I went to social media. I have a little bit of a marketing background too. Just if you're an entrepreneur and you don't have some sort of marketing background, then you're you're missing the point. Marketing's a huge part of what we all do.
Marketing, we just had the marketing genius comment, Mr. Robert Sisler.
Mr. Sislo,
This
the one
little
and only.
the Mastermind.
But that's it. I mean, you got to get somebody like him on your team to, to take care of you and get that presence out there. Get, they don't know you, they can't flow you, right?
Yep.
We all know that one. But it's true even beyond just us hearing it all the time. But basically, leverage social media through marketing. Long story short, and started raising some capital. I was able to allocate that capital into existing deals. They weren't even my deals. To get a piece of the GP, which is the general partnership, and from there I've transitioned on into now setting up my own private equity funds and doing that, continuing to raise capital.
So just so I understand you correctly, so basically you were able to raise money using social media and buy into deals because you brought the money syndication side of it. You brought the money from using social media, and you were able to get into 650 units within 6 months by raising money.
Yeah. So you've got, you really got like three pieces to a deal. Just to sum it up, you got the deal. Seem like a deal, you got capital, and then usually got debt, when you're talking about large acquisitions like this. There's some other places there, but, you got sponsor stuff. But for the most part, you need a deal. You need capital for the equity, and that's what we're talking about is equity, and then you need debt. And so what I was focusing on was helping, because as a syndicator, usually there's a about 30% that you have to come up with. And so, when I'm out here and say the deal cost $20 million, or let's use $10 million, simpler, but let's say $10 million for the deal. So you'd have $10 million acquisition. Well, I would be responsible for raising or coming up with $3 million, 30% of that roughly. And the debt is going to be the 70%, the leverage. And so that 30%, that equity is what, syndicator is responsible for, or the operator, whoever's taking it down. And so I was helping them, and I'd say, hey, look, you've got a deal, you need capital. Let me go out here and try to help raise this capital for you. And if I can, will you give me a piece of the pie? And they did. And so that's how I got started. And since then I've went on to furthering the depths of basically setting up, because I found out, there's nothing wrong with, I don't know, I got to watch what I say, because technically not really allowed to go out and like just solicit. What I did was wrong. I wouldn't recommend it that way. There's a right way of doing it now. Are you
going to talk about that at the Mastermind? Because I kind of get hung up on, because there is a way you have to there's a difference between offering an opportunity and openly soliciting for money,
selling securities. Right. And so basically I jumped right into I found my niche, right? I found I was good at reaching people. I was good at talking. I was good at raising capital, right? Well, I was bad at basically doing it the right way. I've been very sort of bullheadish my whole life. I don't pay attention to a lot of the details. And so I was just out there just doing my thing, wild west and raising capital. And so anyway, I started, I did get educated by some advisors, and went on to make some great relationships I still have today with some hedge fund and private equity fund managers that have taught me a lot along the way. And so I knew that I needed to get in and actually get a fund set up, which I don't know if people really think about funds. A lot of times it's sort of this mystical Wall Street, big timer type of deal. But like anything that's mystical and nobody knows about, and there's all these opinions and different things, you find out that that's usually for a reason, and it's because they don't want you to know about this stuff. So I went on to figuring this out, and I figured it out as
you're going to be sharing some secret knowledge with us, is what you're saying.
That's exactly it. Because let me tell you, so exactly what I've done, what I do has been quoted to me, and I can show you the quotes. I can send the printouts to you. Roughly $30,000 to about $70,000 to set up what I've done, and a lot of that is legal. It's all legal. Come to find out, this was something I always heard too. I always heard that it costs tens of thousands of dollars to actually file your offerings or whatever. So whatever you're filing your fund, and come to find out, it don't cost you anything, zero. Like there's no charges on the actual filing part. So
So what are they charging you for it? They charging you to do it for you.
Attorney fees, yeah. So if there's any attorneys on here and stuff, I'm not trying to burst your bubbles, but what it is, it's a lot of legal, so it's liabilities. But I've literally read, I mean, I've read, I don't know, 10, I'm not going to say 100, but several tens, if that's the way of saying it, 30, 40 different what they call PPMs. And so it's a private placement memorandum. And the reason why we have to have what's called a private placement memorandum is because what we're offering as a security basically is it falls underneath what's called the Jobs Act, which Jobs stands for Jumpstart. Jumpstart something business. Shoot, I forget what it is. Anyway, it was back in 2012. They initiated the Jobs Act, which basically said that you don't have to have these public offerings. So I don't know if we've heard about IPOs, but IPO is initial public offering. Whereas what we do is underneath Jobs Act, and underneath it you got what's called 506C filing, which means I can go into depth on this. I'm not going to bore everybody with it right now.
Yeah, don't go too deep, because you're gonna go over the country folks as slow peasants' heads. Okay, keep it simple for us as country folks.
What it means is that under a private offering, you're basically allowed to do whatever the hell you want to and structure however the hell you want to. And so your PPM, private placement memorandum, if you can think of it, you're offering this is a private offering. And so your private placement memorandum is basically an outline of what you're going to be doing and how you're going to be doing it and stuff. And so after reading, 30, 40, 50 of these things, and I'm talking about, these are sometimes 100+ page documents, you come to find out that like percent of it's all the same stuff. It's literally templates almost. And there's just a few things that you need to know to be able to structure one of these. So
you're going to share with us how to set up your own private fund, is what you're saying? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically, after I've learned this, learned how to do this and the fundamentals of it, and why you would want to do this. Being an entrepreneur, my mind just went. I mean, this is probably the biggest like aha moment. I was telling you before, this is probably the biggest aha or like realization that I've had in probably 3 to 4 years here. I mean, just eye-opening experience, because if you're out trying to flip house, you were talking about flipping houses, right? Well, imagine if you had a fund, a investment fund that you could literally go out and solicit as much as you want. 506C rule. If it's a 506B, you can't solicit, but you could solicit. You could bring in as many investors as you want to, and then you could literally just be working out of that constant pool of capital and just paying them a standard interest rate plus splits. And it's literally the answer for anybody that needs capital. I mean, if you need capital, you either got to get it, or you either got to raise it yourself, or make it yourself and put it into your deals from an outside source of income, or you've got to go get other people's money. Like, it takes capital.
Yep.
And it's either got to be produced income that you produce, or somehow it comes in, or you've got to go out and get it from somebody else.
And I've talked about it for you guys that follow me all the time. I've talked about this. I would be light years ahead of where I am now if I would have learned how to raise capital. Like, that is so fundamental to being a professional real estate investor. I didn't realize that at a young, early stage real estate investor. I was just going after deals, finding buyers, finding sellers. But I created what's called the BSC triangle. If you just use the BSC triangle, the basic fundamental is the triangle: buyers, sellers. Well, I'm trying to do it backwards because the camera is it's a triangle, right? Buyers, sellers, capital. Buyers, sellers, capital. But the problem with most of you real estate investors, y'all just stay stuck in finding buyers and sellers. If you don't raise capital, you can't scale. And right now, if I'd have been raising capital a long time ago, I would be light years ahead of myself, guys. So you need to come to this mastermind. You need to learn. And then once you learn how to raise capital, I think the next echelon of that is what Will Morris is talking about here, and that's a fund. Because then you can become your own bank. And that's the next level. Everybody wants to be the bank. Exactly.
And raising capital, I mean, a lot of people think it's a big time deal, big like big commercial real estate type of deal, but it's not. I mean, I think I've told you about Dan. I helped him. He was able to take down, and this is just kind of what it could do, even on a mid-sized scale. But I mean, he was able to get a $700,000 mixed use, so it was commercial on the bottom and like 8 units on top, and he was 700 grand. He was able to market and be able to find an investor, and that investor brought the down payment for it. He split it up with him, and he basically took down a $700,000 piece of property for 10 out of my pocket. And that's the power of being able to source capital. The next level of that is be able to consistently source capital, because here's my problem with syndicating. Because syndicating to me in my eyes is kind of the same as doing a flip or a small commercial, or I mean any it's a one-off deal, right? You've got one deal, you're raising capital, you're focused on one deal. That's fine, but every time you close a deal, you lose a deal. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to keep it turning. And so for me, it was better to be able to basically just be working on the capital, always talking about it, always raising the capital. There's and it, like, again, there's a lot of myths about that too, about like having to pay them and different things, whatever. But constantly sourcing deals, but also being able to consistently raise that capital, bring that capital in. And what it's allowed me to do is really threefold. One is it's allowed me to actually go out with a pocketbook full of money to be able to do deals. So imagine when you're going and talking to a mobile home park or even if it's single family, say somebody's, I mean, like new construction's killing it on returns right now. If you want to build some houses, imagine looking at a whole street and looking at 10 houses versus, one-offs or here and there, and knowing that you've got the money in the bank. You know what I'm saying? Like, that gives you a lot of power. And so, spending power to be able to go do it. And also what a lot of people don't understand about having a fund is you can actually do what's called a fund of funds, which is where I can put my money into somebody else's deal. And so it don't even have to be my deal now. I can go to them and say, hey, look, like I've got one right now. It's 177 units in Birmingham that it's not my deal, but the guy needs $5 million in equity. And basically I told him, I was like, look, I want, 50%, or we negotiated or agreed on 50% of the partnership, for me to bring that money to his offering. And so I'm going to be getting equity in deals, going to be raising, getting the cash flow distributions, and I'm going to be getting, your management fees on the money too. So that's sort of the third fold of this, I guess, is that you actually get paid, once you raise the capital, you get paid to sort of manage that. You get paid to an actual management fee.
Well, let's talk about that. We were talking about that yesterday. So where's the real money at? Because we were talking about a particular character, we ain't got, we were talking about how he's making a lot of money, and let's face it, let's just call it for what it is. There's a lot of money in having a fund because of what you just said, right? And
yeah,
the management fee, the acquisition fee. So you not only are you going to make it on the cash flow, but you're going to make it on all these fees if you learn how to start up your own fund, right?
And also on top of that, you got to think, like, a lot of people talk about buying apartments and different things. Well, there's a lot of people that are very, you've got to have a good solid team to do a lot of this. That's not the sexy stuff anybody wants to talk about. But what I like about funds is that once you get it set up and you raise the capital, I'm deploying it. So put it this way, that 177 units, I can deploy $5 million into that. I can get 50% ownership of the company, 50% of the cash flow and all that stuff. I don't have to worry about management. I don't have to worry of the property. I don't have to worry about, tenants, termites, toilets. I don't have to worry about, I mean, you should worry about it, don't get me wrong, but you don't have to physically be involved in the day-to-day. So you're literally making just as much as you probably would as if you were going to do it yourself. And I mean, expenses on multifamily cost you 40-50%. It's that's what you underwrite at is you hope to get 40% expenses. So, but typically it's around 50 or more whenever you take over. And so if you're buying this deal and you're doing all this work and putting in all this sweat and all this whatever, and you're still going to make 40 to 50%, why not just raise the capital, deploy it, make 40-50%, and then to your point, talking about the management fees. So on funds, you get what's called a basically it's a small percentage for like just operating the fund. That comes right off the top. But then outside of that, everything's kind of based off the acquisitions and the actual amount of money that's in the fund. So if you buy something, you get acquisition fee. What you can put whatever you want, but a standard would be 1% acquisition. And so then you get a 1% management fee. That's yearly. You get a 1% disposition fee. You get a 2% refinance fee. I mean, there's a reason why you have Wall Street and the wealthy of the wealthy, the 1%ers, why they all have funds and equity funds, hedge funds. It's where all the cream and cherries are. It's not. It's none of the.
My Cardone started a fund. I mean, there's money. Follow the money, guys. You ain't got to be a rocket science. Find out what the big players are doing and
Exactly.
just.
And that's another thing too. Talking about. I mean, I don't want to say too many names, but stuff like that. Certain expenditures and flying around and different things. That's all wrote into the fund. The fund pays for all that. And it's legal, like that's. It's not just legal; it's normal. Like that. It's it. It's operating expenses. It's workings capital. Marketing. All the marketing expense. How can you pay $120,000 a month in ads? Well, you can because it's paid for.
I'm sold. Sign me up. I want to start my own fund and raise $20-30 million to buy my own mobile home parks. So I can do that if I got a guy like me, a small timer from South Louisiana, knows how to put a few deals together. You could help me put a fund together and raise my own money and just basically be my own bank and take fees and be able to not have to go through a committee board when I'm buying deals and go through a bank and just buy it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, setting that stuff up, even for me, it was this big mystical, thing that you hear of and you think it's complicated and you think that you can't achieve it. But actually, I personally think it works better. Speaking of Grant, why does it work so well for him? Because we don't overcomplicate it. We're not analytical. We are down to earth. I mean, I was raised in Eastern Kentucky and East Tennessee here, if you couldn't tell by my accent. So, I mean, I'm not the smartest guy, but what I am, I call it the Henry Ford effect. I get the people that I don't have to be expert, but I have to know who is. And so I just call them and say, hey, look, I need you to manage this, send out K1s, do all the stuff. Like I focus on raising money, deploying it into deals and collecting checks. I mean, that's what I focus on. So I think even on the simplest scale, like I mentioned to you the other night when we were talking on the phone, even on the smallest scale, Chris, like I really believe that if the wholesaler, the flipper found out about this, I think it would benefit them, just having the access to capital, because that's really the heartache a lot of times. I mean, a lot of these guys I know that in the wholesale space, they would love to flip a house, but they can't because they don't have the funds. They have to wholesale it. They hope to wholesale 3 or 4 times to be able to put it into one where they're still scraping by for months. Well, why not?
Yeah. You saying so a guy like a lot of wholesalers on here follow me. You saying that they should start a fund, even if they're a wholesaler, to raise money to flip, and they can pay a certain preferred amount to their investors that invest in their fund off of their flips. And
absolutely. Like why would you not? I mean, think about a flip, right? I mean, the yields on a flip. I mean, I still build some new homes here in Knoxville just because the yield's so good. I mean, listen, at the heart of it, man, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm an investor, and I look at yields, and if I can go out here and build a house, I'm building, so I'm gonna talk about building a house. So if I go out here and build a house, and in 3 to 6 months have that thing done and turn a $90,000 profit off of $160, recent 160,000 turned it into 249. I mean, that's a $90,000 profit in 6 months. Show me another asset that makes that kind of money. You know what I'm saying? Like, so the returns are so there that I think you would actually, and you don't have to ask for massive checks neither. So like when you set this stuff up, you can actually set up a 506B, which you're not allowed to solicit or market, but it's a friends and family. And so you can have up to 35 friends and family members.
That's a gray area, friends. I mean,
you know this guy, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, come on, let's call it for what it is. I mean, a lot of this stuff is, it's basically, if they inbox you a couple of times on Facebook Messenger, they're your friend.
Well, let me tell
right?
you, there's a reason why my potential investors and stuff will go through a series of, hey, schedule on my calendar invite, that's recorded. Hey, inbox me. Hey, you document this and you have a couple of interactions and stuff there, and so it's a very loosely defined term as far as friends and family and stuff like that. And bottom line is that 90%, I'm gonna say 95% of the stuff that I've heard, and I've been doing multifamily for 10 years now, or involved in multifamily, for 10 years, and 95% of the stuff that I've always heard about a fund has always been high level, out of reach. You can't get it.
You're not
This is for
smart
the
enough.
wealthy. This is, but
Yeah.
and you can't do this. You can't do that. Oh, it's got to be this way. 95% of it was opinions, man. Like once I actually did it, I'm like, that's a damn lie. Like that's ridiculous, like
paperwork and forms to fill out and
I mean, and honestly, I mean, I hate to say it this way, but I mean, it's not like you can't find the answers. Some of this stuff I had to kind of, you got to dig through SEC, 37,000 word document on the SEC or something like that, but they tell you exactly how to do it. There's some tricks to the trade that you got to do, or some things you got to know, but the biggest thing is knowing sort of the PPM is really what it comes down to. That's the sort of the barrier.
You're going over us peasants' heads. What's a PPM?
They want it mystical, man. I mean, like I said, I'm not knocking on any attorneys. I mean, I've got some attorneys that are investors and stuff like that, but they make money in the gray area. Let's call it like it is. They make money in the gray area, and this is a very big gray area.
So what's a PPM?
Private placement memorandum. That is the backbone. That is basically it outlines like what you're buying, how you're buying it, what the estimated returns are. It's all speculation, really. What it is and what but it's strategy too. So it's got your strategy in there. It's got your stipulation, your estimated returns and whatnot. It's got your sort of an executive summary in there saying, hey, look, we're a new or emerging company, and we're this is our plan. Nothing's. And
you're gonna show us how to break this down, because I'm interested in this. Like, I want to set up a fund. I think I told you that the other night for my mobile home park stuff. Because I looked into it. I mean, you had some that cost 50, 40 grand. Then you had one fund that would cost 80 grand or 100 grand to set up. And you're telling me you can do a lot of this stuff on your own. Now, I did get one fund, a guy out of New York that quoted me only $8,000 to set up a certain particular fund, but I don't think it was one that I could talk about on social media. I think it was just the friends and family. That was the best price I got. But you're telling me you for what you said, I think maybe $400 or $500 of your, and in your own time and effort, you can do the filings yourself and set it up yourself.
Yeah. There's 3 or 4 things that you're going to have to buy. You're going to have to set up an entity, which there's a certain way to do that and set it up for. You got to have a management company. So there's a couple of entities you're going to have to set up and know how to set them, structure them up. And then of course the PPM. Let's just say that literally 90% of it is template. Or I'm not going to say template, but 90% of it is basically saying the same thing in 437 different ways that investing's risky and nothing's guaranteed. That's basically what it says.
No guarantees, and if this don't work out, you can't come after me. Right?
That's it. But I'll tell you this way: like if a PPM's written properly, and you don't know somebody, and you're like, yeah, send me your PPM, and you actually read all 78 pages of it, you'll never invest in anything. I mean, if it's a properly written PPM.
I've read parts of Cardone's PPM, and basically like, hey, like, dude, this is all on you. You may lose every penny, and there's damn thing you could do about it.
And I may hold your money for 10 years. And and so I hate to laugh about it, because I laugh because I was always, always thought that it was unattainable. But now you look at it and you're like, my God, why do they make it so complicated? you know, and it's like anything that's great, man. They want it complicated. They want it
Right.
mystical. They want it pie in the sky. You know, I'd say political, but you know what I'm saying? Like they can control you, man.
They want to keep you in mystery about it, right?
That's
And
exactly right. That's
if
exactly
it's a
right.
mystery, it seems mystical, right? Where the word mystery comes from, mystical.
That's it.
And it makes you more powerful if you seem mystical and mysterious, and it's a mystery that you peasants over here can't have this, and you're just not smart enough, wise enough, or intelligent enough to do something like this, and you're coming and telling us that you're going to come to my mastermind and you're going to break down how to set up your own fund. Now, that's the easy part. I would say trying to find the money, you got to be credible enough, because that's a whole nother piece, because just because you set up a fund doesn't mean you're going to fill it with $10-20 million in the first week just because you set up a fund.
No,
that you gotta have a track record, you gotta have some credibility, you gotta have some type of leverage, altitude to have people even trust you with their money.
Well, and to that kind of place, see, I kind of did it backwards, which is good, I guess, that I learned it that way. You know, I went from, you know, learning how to gain that leverage, you know, call it, you know, authority leverage, whatever you want to call it. I went from gaining that into doing a fund, but there's also a way. So for me, on some of these larger assets, some of this, you know, larger assets that I'm trying to go after in Class A markets. Well, I'll give you the beans. I don't care. So like we've got several properties that we're looking at in the Florida market. Well, Florida's hot. You know, it's a killer. It's a great place. And so, you know, what I've done is I went to you find people that are experts in those areas, and you partner up with them. And so for me, for example, I actually partnered up with a guy. I'm not going to name his name for the sake of live here. He may not want to say it, but anyway, he was the one that actually started and founded Cardone Capital for Grant. And so I partnered up with him, and because he is a killer when it comes to the Florida market, and so I'm bringing his experience and his relationships with me now. You know what I'm saying? So we kind of partnered up, and same thing. I've got guys that I've sponsored I partnered up with as sponsors. So what you do is once you get these guys, you say, hey, look, I've got a fund. I'm looking to raise 10, 20, 30, $50 million, whatever. I'm wanting to partner. You know, I'm looking to leverage your experience to be able to say, because once you leverage their experience, once you get them, then you can say, hey, my team has done this. My team has this. My team has that. Oh, we have. So like there's one in particular I'm gonna partner with that's a great guy, great group, great firm, and I think they have a little over 800 units, you know, and so I'm going to be able to leverage that, and especially in a certain area because they own a lot in a certain area, and I'll be able to say, hey, look, you know, my team, we already own 800 units down there. Of course you're going to, you know, of course you want to invest with us. Why would you not want to invest with us? So I mean, you start leveraging that, and that's what I would advise. I mean, you know, people have their own ways of doing everything, but leveraging other people, and then you can start leveraging their credibility. Because if you go out here and just say, hey, I started a fund, I've done this, and you have no experience, no nothing, and you go talk to an investor, and they're saying, you know, well, what's your track record? What's this? Because they'll ask. I mean, nobody's going to give you write you $1 million check without doing their due diligence. I mean, they don't get an extra $1 million laying around by being an idiot and giving it out to everybody. So, you know, you've got to put that together. Again, it goes back to marketing too, though, you know, being able to put together a pretty little executive summary that outlines your experience and your, you know, your team's experience and what you've done and your management.
How to do all this.
Do what?
You're gonna talk about how to do all this, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's not that hard. I mean, you had Mr. Sislo there. I mean, he could help you out with a lot of the credibility. He can make you look like a rock star. So, I mean, you know, taking somebody like him, and yeah, it costs money or whatever, but I mean, it's a drop in the hat compared to what you can actually make if you do nothing else except raise the capital and allocate it in other people's deals. I mean, you could make a nice living off $1 million a year, you know, on your fees. Wow. $1 million plus.
You'd make it on the fees plus the cash flow.
Yeah, well, yeah, the cash flow. I mean, it's kind of hard to even think about the cash flow a lot of times when you're looking at the fees. So, yeah, I mean, when you're allocating chunks of money, you have a lot of bargaining rights. So again, you can go to that, I can go to that, like that deal in Birmingham. It's not my deal, 177 units, but I said, if I bring, you need $5 million worth of equity. If I write you a check for the whole amount, how much am I going to get? He's like, hell, I'll split it with you. I brought the deal, you brought the equity, we'll take it down together. So I'm getting 50% of the GP, so that'd be 15% equity. And and that's outside of what the investors and stuff they're getting taken care of. Their prefs are getting taken care of, and so it's pretty neat.
Guys, what you think about all this? This is some pretty high level stuff right here. This ain't your typical lives that talk about wholesaling, putting out some bandit signs and sending direct. This is some high level conversations right here. And guys, post your comments. Post your comments if you have a question for Will. And look, this is the stuff we're going to be talking about in my mastermind in Destin, Florida, October 22nd through 24th, right? It's going to be stuff to really help you take it to the next level. Maybe you feel like, well, this is kind of over my head, but it's over your head because you say it's over your head, right?
Yeah.
I could sit here and tell you that it's over my head, right? I haven't started a fund, right? I've never said, but I plan on doing one, right? I've been talking about doing one, but now that I'm watching, Mr. Will Morris do it, I'm like, dude, I know I can definitely do it. I've been talking about it. And I'm like, well, COVID hit and I put it on the back burner because I was kind of scared of it. But then it just so happened he's talking to me about it. I'm like, dude, it just reiterates we can all do it, right? But I'm not going to sit and tell you it's easy, but it's definitely the average Joe can do it.
Well, I'll add something to that too. Everybody you talk to, because a big part of what I do is going to these masterminds and connecting people with you, like you, and my hedge fund manager buddies that I have across the world, really. Just all these connections. I mean, there's one thing that really sticks out, and I think you even mentioned this a while ago, is that one of the common complaints, or I don't know if he complains, how you'd say it. One of the common things you hear about it is that they wish they would have went bigger, quicker, or went, would have done it. And that's one thing that I've even found out myself is that I have to say I halfway listened to it, but also I am finding out myself, because I even dabbled a little bit, and I shouldn't have dabbled. I mean, if you're going to go in, because usually the bigger deals, what I've come to find out, the bigger deals, the bigger, whether you're wholesaling residential now, you're looking to go to commercial, or you're already in commercial, you're looking to go to mid-size or whatever. But I'm telling you right now, the due diligence, the underwriting, the process it takes to purchase a 24 unit is just about the same as it does a 244 unit. It may be a little bit more extra stuff here and there, but it's pretty much the same process and same stuff. So, don't limit yourself. And if you can do a fund and get it set up, and, I don't know if people, I don't know. Like I said, I don't get caught up a lot of times on the details, so I don't know if there's a lot of rebuttals as far as, well, what if that? There on a fund, there is really kind of one thing that they do, audit you at the end of the year. So one thing I would highly recommend is do not go out and say, I'm going to start $1 million fund, and then at the end of the year, because they're gonna not let you do anything else. And so you want to make sure you're realistic in your goals. There's no reason why you couldn't start. I mean, imagine a flipper with $1 million equity fund in freaking, I don't know, Nashville, Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee, somewhere. I mean, $1 million sitting in a fund, and you're drawing a little bit of income off of it, a little bit of work. Well, matter of fact, you say you don't do any income, but you're getting your vehicles paid for, your cell phones paid for, you're getting travel expenses paid for, your marketing paid for, you're getting all that paid for out of the fund, and then you're still going out here and you have literally, $800,000 to $900,000 to deploy into deals, and just consistently turn it and burn it.
All right, I'm sold. Where do I sign up?
Well, just reach out to me. I mean, I'm on all platforms and stuff, but LinkedIn's hot. I mean, this. You've been doing well on LinkedIn as well. I like to stay on LinkedIn, especially in my genre of sort of fund manager and doing some bigger deals. LinkedIn's really good, so I really like LinkedIn. The bad thing about reaching out on there is if you're not in my network, they won't let you. So you can message me on Facebook. Send me a message. Instagram. I think you can look me up under either Will Morris or Hey Will Morris. Either one.
Cool. And you're, and so I think you had talked about, so you're going to be creating pretty much like some kind of program to where you can help them set up their own fund for a fraction of the cost that would maybe charge an attorney would charge them.
Yeah, well, exactly. My most recent fund, basically, I was quoted at $40,000, and so I said, you know what, I'm not going to pay at this time. I'm actually going to take what I've learned and what I've done, and I'm actually going to do it myself, and I'm going to document that along the way. So what I've done is I've documented. I've got my exact filings and everything all the paperwork, my PPMs, my placement agreements, my purchase booklets, purchase agreements, operating agreements, everything. So I've taken all of it, and of course it's for sample template use only. I hate to say template. It's for sample use only, because you still have to read through this stuff. Don't think, like you said, this is not some magical, hey, give me some money and you're going to, next thing you know, have $10 million sitting in an account. You need to read through it. You need to read it line by line. You need to understand it, because it's going to be your backbone to where somebody comes and asks you, they say, hey, I seen that you were raised, I see that you're doing this or doing that. I want in. Here's $200,000. What's my returns? Well, that's in your PM. You need to know this stuff. You can't be just you can't be just kind of floating through it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to know it. You need to know your numbers. You need to know your stuff. If you're going to do this, you're going to be real with it, and you're going to get to the next level, you need to take it serious. Quit dabbling and get it set up. So yes, I've basically documented everything and got it all in sample format, and then on top of that, I'll be available to help as well through lives and Voxer. I like that Voxer. You introduced me to that. So.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Awesome, guys. Well, look, yep, Will's going to be at the Mastermind. Try to make it. I'm actually, I'm going to be doing something like this with Will soon. He's going to help me set up my fund. If you're already in real estate, am I muted? Oh, there we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good. Yep.
Yeah. So if you're already in real estate, guys, and you're a seasoned vet and you've been wholesaling, flipping, maybe you're raising private money already, this is the next echelon. Starting your own fund, I would say, is taking it to the next level. I think when we all get started, we all start off with, the basic stuff of, how to find a deal, then we try to, find buyers and sellers, and then we start raising capital, and then it's an evolution, right? And I think eventually, if you want to get to the top of the totem pole in the real estate game, I think a fund would probably be the king of kings when it comes to at the top of the totem pole of a hierarchy of a real estate investor, right? Wouldn't you say, or what?
Yeah, well, you get you carry a very big stick. I'll put it that way. So you get a lot of negotiating strength, and don't think that it limits you neither. So I still have, I have Morris Third Capital, which is my fund management company, but I also have Morris Acquisitions, which is still my one-off syndication. So it don't limit you neither. And you are allowed to have multiple funds. Again, I wouldn't stress having too many. You don't want to be over obligated, but you can have a couple funds. You can still have your sort of one-off company like I do, and because I still do deals. I mean, there's some deals that people come to me. I have partners, JV partners, and I mean, hell, I get a lot of stuff from wholesalers. I love wholesalers bringing me deals, and I'll put them in the deal. I'll pay them for the deal, whatever it takes. So, if they find something that's a sweet multifamily or I hate to say mobile home park that ain't around Chris, and but even if it is,
don't come to my neck of the woods. I'll cut your throat.
He's them Southern boys down there, eat them crawdads. You gotta watch them.
I'll cut your throat for a deal.
But I mean, you can still do deals. You can still JV. You can still take down your own stuff. You're not 100%. I mean, you are obligated, but you're not. You're allowed to do other stuff as well. So.
Yep. Somebody asked what your Instagram was.
Hey, Hey, Will Morris, Morris. Hey, Will Morris.
Cool. Awesome. Well, Will, I appreciate it, man. Looks like you're getting pretty dark where you're at. So
yeah,
we'll probably call it a night. I appreciate you coming on, man. This is a lot of good stuff. I mean, this is stuff that I'm super interested in too. I'm looking to take it to the next level too, man. I mean, it's just, guys, if I know most of you follow me for wholesaling and flipping. I mean, at the end of the day, like, it's a glorified, high-paying job, right? Yeah. And I'm always going to do it. I'm going to, and I have a big team now. I'm doing it in 6 markets. But at the end of the day, it's not really building me wealth, right? Yeah. And we want to, at the end of the day, every real estate investor, dream is to build wealth, and you build wealth through attaining assets that cash flow, right? That have positive cash flow. And that's, it's gonna be kind of hard to pass over a wholesaling and flipping business to your kids. I mean, I guess it's possible, but you sure can leave, a bunch of multifamily units and mobile home parks and commercial property to your kids paid off free and clear, maybe in the next 30 years, 40 years when you're dead. And what a legacy to leave to your kids, right? To know when you're dying, you're on your deathbed, all your kids and great grandkids are taken care of. And that's the dream, I think, of every real estate investor. I know it's my dream.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what a great feeling that is to know, Paul Morris, 80 years ago, Paul Morris did all this for us, and now we're set for life. He's got a real estate investment company that's worth $300 million, and we collect a check for $5 million every year. Right?
That's it.
So, but maybe that's not your dream. Maybe you just want to make $1 million. Hey, it's whatever floats your boat, right? So anyway, guys, this is what it's about. I appreciate you coming on, Will. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you, Chris.
And and maybe a lot of this stuff is over a lot of people's head. If it is, hey, look, and you say, Chris, hey, I hadn't even learned wholesaling yet. Hey, no big deal, no problem. Go to chrisrood.com, book a call with me, and we'll get you rocking and rolling on wholesaling and flipping. You definitely need to learn the wholesaling and flipping game first, because that is the fundamentals, right? You're not going to go from straight out of high school. Hey, I'm ready. I'm starting to fund. I'm 19. I'm starting to fund. Like, look, it's like anything else. You got to work your way up the ladder and the education. So go to chrisrood.com. Let me help you start off with flipping and wholesaling and some mobile home parks. And maybe you're already doing all that and you want to come to the Mastermind. And that's why I'm bringing Will Morris. That's why I'm bringing, the other speakers that are going to be talking about syndication, multifamily, because we're going to help you level up on that end. So Will, I'll leave it with you for the last final words.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you, Chris, guys, whoever's watching this. I just encourage you to get around. I'm a stickler for saying it's who you know and who knows you, not what you know. I'm not the most educated guy in the world, but again, I do know who is, and that's through building my relationships. Willing to give in order to receive through knowledge, specific knowledge. So, I just encourage everybody to if you can't make it down there, at least are you going to have it live? Are you going to be live streaming?
Well, I'm thinking about it. We're talking to a company right now about doing it. Yep.
Okay. Well, either way, even if you can't, regardless, you need to get down there. I mean, piss on. Oh, sorry, got that. Sorry about that. Forget about the live stream. Hey, pretty girl. Forget about the live stream. You need to get down there. You need to see it. You need to talk to us, because there's one thing about it is that if you got a good enough situation, just like Chris and stuff. I mean, I can't do it for everybody, but if you got a good enough situation, heck, maybe I'll join in on your deals or JV with you and whatnot. And I bring a very powerful network with me and of investment bankers and fund managers and I don't want to go through all of it, but I encourage everybody to try their best to get down there. Reach out to Chris if you need some help and on the wholesaling and getting started. And if you want to try to get to the next level, I'll be happy to help you and hope to see everybody at the Mastermind.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you. Hey, Mike, appreciate that, man. I hope you guys like this. Please share this stream and try to make it to my Mastermind. I guarantee you get massive value. Will and about 4 or 5 other speakers are going to be there just dropping nuggets on different aspects of skilling up and being the best you can be and really taking it to the next level in your real estate career, entrepreneurial career. So
that's it.
All right, brother. Well, I appreciate you and have a good night. And we'll see you at the Mastermind here in about 5 weeks.
Sounds good, guys. Y'all take care.
All right, brother. Take care. Bye-bye.
See ya.
All right.